welcome back to another episode of Psychonaut Sessions, your home for all things psycho. This month is Halloween month, my favorite month of the year. I'm trying to keep all the books in theme with some kind of horror element to celebrate. And today I'm taking a look at PERG from Lightning Comics and signed by the creator. And guess what? It's authenticated. Number 984 out of 3,000. So, just so everybody knows, this is certifiable from the creator himself. This cannot be reproduced, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, everybody knows PERG, right? No? Well, let's dive into this. Lightning Comics was one of those comic companies that cropped up in the comic speculator boom of the 90s when Image Comics, the Image Revolution came, and the prospect of having creator-owned books and just these new comic book companies cropping up out of the woodwork. Everybody was trying to make their own comic. So Lightning Comics produced a lot of what I would say like power, like 90s power comics for sure. These guys had a lot of styles where they were kind of trying to replicate that Image style, but man, they probably could have done with just working off of Life Drawing for a while or something and not paying attention to the Rob Liefelds and Todd McFarlanes of the world. So PERG was kind of a capitalization off of, I think, the Spawn, Batman, Ghost Rider era, where the grim and gritty 90s really took root, and people wanted these like dark characters and that had to do with death, and were undead characters themselves even, and had to do with God, and they were suffering as a result of their sins, and just like blah 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 blah. Enter PERG, ladies and gentlemen. This is it wasn't that bad though. I mean, I enjoy this sort of stuff. This is a flip cover. The other side is glow in the dark. It's still too light outside right now, but I assure you it does indeed glow in the dark. Mr. Pignose PERG. So let's take a look and see what is happening here. All right. So PERG is written by Joseph Zazowski, who was the person who signed it. He's obviously the creator. Penciled by Carl Kerschel. Now, Carl Kerschel, I think, has done some other things and continued on to have a somewhat respectable career in comics. There's some elements of his art that I actually really enjoyed and have fun with. It's the moments where things are inked like an Image comic book or done like an Image comic that I'm like, ugh, that I didn't really like. So that would be the result of James Anderson and Frank Parr in some of those cases, but not in every case. I like one or the other. One person, there are some pages I like, some pages that I don't. And then multiple colorists, my lord, multiple colorists. But as this is definitely the early era of computer coloring, so a lot of that fun kind of early Adobe Photoshop like filters that you could put on to make things look like granite or whatever. That's the actual page. And that first page was pretty fun. And then this like airbrushed kind of neon color, like a lot of fun. I love this kind of stuff. I know it's like to professional colorists, it's amateurish and whatnot, but I don't know. I find it so fun. So totally was impressed with the first page being, a kind of an eagle eye view into this group of guys like shooting junk. I was like, what? But tons of fun. But there's some sort of like person talking like, hey guys, you want to hear something weird? Ha ha ha. No, but really, like, I was like, are these guys talking? No, there's some other group of kids that are like talking in some other scene, and they're talking while this is going on. It was a little confusing at first. So these guys are shooting junk, and then there's some kind of noise that's described as cliche happening, and that's getting them all like amped up and like, what the heck? Um, this is like, ugh, you should. This is a huge Todd McFarlane trope, is to have a silhouette that isn't like colored in black. That's just blank. I'll have to say, even though I'm not like the biggest fan of Todd McFarlane's work, that's one thing that he kind of does well. But it takes a good colorist to really make that effect work. This is not executed well. So anyway, these guys are shooting junk, and so PERG is gonna come and take them out. I guess I'm like, okay, he's got this knife. Holy shit! Here's this guy PERG. He's he's some kind of supernatural badass. And he just comes right in and just starts stabbing these guys in the head. I'm like, what the fuck? And I didn't really notice this at first, but as he exits, the knife exits the wound, there's a cross that shows up. Really, like, I don't know why, but I just really loved this page. I like the frame around it. I like the amount of effort that the artist was kind of putting into this particular scene, and with the chains. This is obviously a very huge Spawn thing, because Spawn used chains. Got a long cloak, undead kind of vigilante, very Spawn. But what I also like about this is that there's all this like rainbow color, which it's like a horror comic, you know. So you'd think there'd be darker colors and tones, but we got this like really bright, like fun rainbow colors in the background of this guy trying to run away, getting wrapped up in chains, and then getting stabbed in the fucking head. I don't know. I just thought it was all kind of fun. Anyway, so this guy tries to hit him over the head with a baseball bat, and he gets stabbed too. Again, the effect only works when it's colored correctly, and that's not. And then the problem is this group of artists, the inkers, and the, I don't know if this was the choice of the inker to not fill this in, or if it's the artist, but also these are very generic. Like, suddenly we don't get any images of PERG, and it's just this like obscure like silhouette, and then this whole thing is silhouettes of this guy. You think like, wait a minute, are these the other guys? No, that's actually the same guy. He's getting prevented from leaving somehow, and then he gets stabbed in the head. But just that was poorly executed for me. Didn't really work for me. But yeah, then really interesting choice here. Like, what is happening here? So we get this scene of the guys all stabbed in the head. Are they dead? What's happening? So we've got this like interplay going on of the story of PERG, that he's this like supernatural kind of character that shows up and will stab people in the head. They have like crosses that show up, and then, but they don't die. They change their ways. That like they suddenly start like changing their ways from evil to good. This weird silhouette of PERG is so weird. The color. This is just a weird choice. But I actually like this though. Like this is working for me just because it's so odd. This was a big just fallout, like setback for all these companies that cropped up in the 90s. You know, having all this merch and all this, like, so they were so coming out of the gate before even getting a book or a fandom started for any of their books or characters, just immediately like, we got merch, we got IP, you know, opportunities, blah blah blah, 1,000 copies. Just like, man, like get a foundation starter first before just, jumping into all that. So these are the kids that are telling the story. They're a bunch of college kids, and this girl especially was telling the story. She is really interested in this PERG character. They're all just hanging out in her like dorm room. This guy is all like, pew, 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 pew. Like he's actually giving her a hard time and like, oh come on, Elvis Presley was still alive too. So apparently, the story is that he was they're in Chicago, and he was a cop in the 1800s who was a really evil man and corrupt, and he was killed by the townspeople, and they like did all kinds of like the way they would kill a witch. They killed him, and then they would cut him up to pieces and then burned him, and then all this because they were afraid he was gonna for some reason come back alive. Well, he ended up dead coming alive, and apparently, or come back, and his role is to pay for his sins by turning evil people good across the city. I'll give this girl props though. She's got in her dorm room a picture of Bert and Ernie hanging up. I mean, yeah, I mean, hell yeah. And here's this guy's like, wah, 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 hey, I'm laying on your bed. He's just giving her shit. He doesn't believe her. Blah blah blah. So then we're thrown into South America. Now this is like, wow, calm the fuck on, people. So we're in South America. A bunch of huts because everybody in South America lives in huts. And then we get these two people like running in the jungle together. Like, what? Like, come on. This is so beyond stereotypical. It's fucking ridiculous. Like, it's, God. Okay, so just randomly South America, and it's just these people in the jungle, practically naked, running, and we get more of these shitty ass silhouettes that we don't understand what's happening. So he's chasing her, and he's worried if they're in the woods and something could happen, but they're gonna smooch. Something snaps, and he's like, "What?" And you just see evil eyes, and then I'm like, "Wait, did she stab him? Like, what is going on here?" But actually, what happens is she just pushed him away. So I guess she just got angry and pushed him away, and like, you don't know what every time she doesn't notice the big scary guy behind her. And so he attacks some kind of furry monster dude, Sasquatch kind of character. Anyway, back to the Legend of PERG. Oh no, this isn't, like, he's actually talking now. We're getting monologue of PERG himself. And those addicts just wake up and like, oh man, I don't feel like doing drugs anymore. That was weird. And so he's just like, thinking about like, oh, evil has been cleansed. Now it's time for me to move on to the bigger game. And this is messed up. So he goes to this dude's house who's, I guess, was dealing with a mobster and messed up, like ended up taking cash that he shouldn't have. And so because he owes this mobster $115,000, or I thought it was 115 at first, but I think it's 115,000. They just missed a zero. So instead of this guy paying him back, the mobster is just going to take his daughter and basically use his daughter and sell her on the streets. Okay, so this guy's getting ready to take advantage of this girl, and the way this dude's just like stripping down is fucking hilarious. And I don't understand what this is, but the gun's there, and then he grabs it. Anyway, PERG shows up, of course, and stabs the guy in the head. Kind of a like really inconsequential or something. The way that before, we had these huge scenes with PERG where he's very prominent, and then we get these tiny little boxes where you can barely see him. Definitely the inking and coloring is a little bit different here. The coloring especially, it's much more muted, less of the like the airbrushy, chunky airbrushy style. Which actually, technically, this probably works better. There's actually, they made an effort on the coloring to show the lighting on the guy's skin and everything. Pretty well executed, actually. But I kind of missed that chunky airbrushy style because this is like too well executed. But no, that's actually really well done. So anyway, yeah, stabs them. Guards come in and he stabs them, and a life awaits you grander than you could ever imagine. Oh, he did that to the father as well, because the father is like, "You saved my daughter, but please don't kill me," because the father screwed up, by putting his daughter in danger. So stabs him. The girl sees it, and she just looks at him angry, and doesn't say anything. He's like, "She has no evil to cleanse, though. She's so pure, so innocent." And she's like, "I hate you." And he just goes, "And I hate you back." Bling! It just disappears. Like, what? I hate you. Bling! Like, that is odd. It's a very interesting character, that PERG. And he goes off and he wallows in his self-pity, and I refuse to give Lucifer the pleasure of defeat, and I have one chance now to get to heaven and to get to you, as he's talking and monologuing, and he looks, and it's obviously an old picture of his previous wife, and dun dun dun, in pure Dracula style, we've got a Mina Murray style character. She is reincarnated into this girl who is obsessed with PERG and loves everything about PERG. So anyway, the boy that was giving her a hard time, they apparently dated before, and she just boots him out. He's like, "Come on, we still have something, right?" She's like, "Nope, you're an ass. Leave." And this just kind of shows she's just been like looking into the PERG thing by taking out newspaper clippings and shit like that. And she goes to bed in a very awkward positioned way, saying, "Watch out, Mr. PERG, because Ollie Moore is coming to get you." That's her name, Ollie Moore. So I guess she's going to try to go catch a PERG. Next issue. Alright. Yeah, Bloodfire is one of the books that was featured. I actually have quite a few. I really like them. Very power comic-y. I'm trying to collect the whole series. There's quite a few. Bloodfire, I think out of all the books, I'm pretty sure out of all the books, Bloodfire lasted the longest. And I think it has over 12 issues. So it lasted a little over a year. Just a lot of fun. Bloodfire Judgment Day, which I think was something that, like an event style book that included all the heroes of the Lightning Comics universe in PERG. Yeah, there's the Judgment Day. Anyway, all the letters were just from retailers saying thank you. Bloodfire sold out like crazy, like just praising Bloodfire for how well it sold and how beneficial it was to their stores. I didn't realize Bloodfire, none of these comics ever showed up on my radar. This was 93. Yeah, none of them ever showed up on my radar at that time. I found this in a dollar bin at a flea market with the certificate of authenticity attached. Yo. So there we go. PERG, nice supernatural horror kind of vigilante style power comic. It was fun. I enjoyed it. I'm kind of liking the clunky coloring of the early 90s. There's something about it that is very appealing to me. I used to hate it for many, many years. That I think it's because I I was there during that era. I remember trying to color like my drawings and the comics I was making on Adobe Photoshop back then, and whew, the effort that took. That was a really interesting time. So anyway, thanks a lot, everybody, for joining me. Like, subscribe, hit the bell for more notifications, please. Everybody stay safe out there and keep it psycho.